My name is Thomas, and the purpose of this video is to give you a quick walkthrough of Radarist to show you how it can help make you more productive. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So what you're looking at when you first sign in to Radarist is something that is called your radar. And the whole idea here is to give you a quick overview of everything that you have to do. But the idea here is it's not so overwhelming that you have to deal with, a long list of to-dos. It's broken down by specific projects. And as you're probably well aware, the idea behind a project is that a project is a bigger goal or task that you need to complete that has a series of smaller tasks that are needed in order to complete it. So when you first sign into Radarist, of course, this is going to all be blank. But what I've got in here is some sample projects so that you can see real quick what this will start to look like as you start adding your own projects and tasks into it. So for example, we've got a client website we're working on. We've got a YouTube video we want to create. We've got a vacation that we need to start planning out. And we want to do something simple like painting the shed. And then we also have something we want to do, which is a wedding video shoot for a client that we have upcoming. But before I get into any of this, what I wanted to do first was break down how Radarist is organized. The great thing about Radarist is that it doesn't require you to invent your own productivity system, which is required of a lot of other productivity tools out there. The idea behind Radarist is that there's already a system, it already works, and you can just jump in there and start using it. Okay, so what we got here is this nice little drop-down menu that shows us all the different types of tools we have at our disposal. The first I'll show you is spaces. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. These are just areas of responsibility or places where you're going to stick projects, right? These are just containers for projects is all they are. And so they're just areas where you'll focus. So I've got client projects, I got personal stuff, I got office stuff. You'll probably have a lot more than this, but this is just a quick example. Then let's go ahead and jump into one of these spaces. And within a space, like I said, we have projects. And so this is just kind of a way that we can categorize and view each of these projects. And then once you're within a project, we have tasks, right? So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of fluff. There's no, prioritization or tags or categories or folders. It's just simple, a tiered system that's broken down easily for you to be able to see what it is that you have to work on. Okay, so back to the radar view. We have three main spaces or three main areas of interest or focus when we're looking at our radar. Again, you don't want to be overwhelmed with this long list of tasks that may be conjoined with other projects or some are higher priority than others or all these different things that you have to manage. With your radar, it's very simple. The way that this is broken down is that in the main area right here below this quick task and below these features, which we'll get to here in a second, it's very simple. You've got your project, and then you have the next action or task that is related to each of those projects. So you're always able to get a bird's eye view. It doesn't really make sense for productivity software to show you 15 different things that you have to do on a project when you can only focus on one of them at a time. That's the idea here. So let's say you're working on your client's website. What we can do is we can hit this little star button so we know this is what I need to focus on now. Or maybe you want to use this to focus on, these are my top 3 projects or top 3 things I'm going to do for today. You can highlight those. Let's say I'm just going to go ahead and focus on 2 for today. Let's say I'm working on this and I check this off. Because this is set to auto sort, what actually happens here is that knocks it down to the bottom of the list. The idea here is that you can make incremental progress on each of these various projects. So you check one off, the project jumps to the bottom. If that's not something you want, if you want to be able to have more precise control over how these are ordered, you can just turn auto sort off. And then what we can do is let's say, you know what, I've still got more I need to do today with this client project. Let's just move it back to the top of the list and let's continue focusing on it. Now down here at the bottom, you'll notice there's another area that says awaiting next action. The idea here is that these are projects that do not currently have an active task within them. This happens for a lot of different reasons. Maybe you just finished everything, or maybe you sent something to the client, you finished your part, and you're just waiting to hear back. This always keeps these on your radar so that you know that they've been sitting, and maybe you need to follow up with that client, or maybe you need to, shoot an email to so-and-so, or maybe there's some other things that you need to do. For example, on this wedding video shoot, there are tasks in here. However, you'll notice that they are inactive tasks. The great thing about Radarist is that you're able to create tasks that you need to do eventually, but you're not ready to do quite yet. Maybe let's say that I see this and I need to follow up. So let's say we need to follow up with Susan. So we're gonna pop that to the top. This is an active task. If we wanted to set it to inactive, we could just click that little button, but this is an active task. And as you can see, it pops right back into our active projects on our radar. Let's say we decided to go up here and for whatever reason, we just found the time during our lunch break. We're gonna go ahead and plan out the vacation, purchase those tickets. As you can see, that disappears. And the reason that disappears is because there are no other active items or tasks within the project. And you'll see to purchase the tickets is completed. So all of your completed tasks will always show up below, so you can always reference them later. Then what you'll notice up here at the top of every project is the ability to add a status. Something that's probably gonna be helpful is to know if something is showing up down here on the awaiting next action. It's probably good for you to know why, right? So let's say that maybe we're waiting to hear back from the travel agent. So let's just say waiting to hear back from travel agent. We go back to the front page and you'll notice it now has this nice little tag down here showing, or label or whatever you want to call it, saying that waiting to hear back from the travel agent. That way you can always know at a glance what specific things need your action or what are waiting. Now the other thing you'll notice is that it says last action was today. That's another indicator for you to know if this has been sitting for 2 days or 3 days or a week. Maybe it's time for you to follow up. Like I mentioned earlier, maybe it's time for you to follow up with Susan, as I did in this particular example. And if it's been a week, 2 or 3 days, whatever makes sense for you, whether or not it's time for you to take some more action. Something that can happen as you start becoming a little bit busier with your radar and you've got a lot of projects you're starting to tackle in a lot of different areas, is that sometimes it can get a little bit overwhelming. Now it does help to go through this on a daily basis and to be able to go through and to reorder these and manage them and highlight them when you're gonna work on them. However, sometimes even that does get a little bit overwhelming, particularly if you're working on one area of interest or focus or responsibility at a time. Like say, for example, you're at work. It doesn't really make sense for you to see all of your personal tasks sitting there on that list when you're focusing on what you're doing at work, or vice versa. You don't need to see all your work tasks when you're at home. So that's why there's this nice little filter here that allows you to just focus on one space at a time. So as you can see, only client projects are now showing up on the radar. Nothing is showing up in awaiting next action because nothing in this space are awaiting next action. If we were to change this to personal stuff, again, you'll see that paint the shed belongs there. You might be wondering what happened to that travel plans vacation thing we had here. Well, this isn't actually part of a space. So to ensure that it is a part of a space, we could just add it to personal stuff, go back to the front page, personal stuff, and there you go. It's now showing up where it is supposed to. So the idea again here is that it allows you to focus on a specific space and to filter your radar accordingly so that you can look at everything and get a bird's eye view if you want to go through planning everything when you're going through your day. Or again, if you're at work, maybe you just want to focus on office stuff. Now, the other thing you'll notice up here is this little bar that says Quick Task. And the idea here is just to offer you the ability to capture information when it first pops into your head. I'm sure this happens to you. It happens to all of us, where you always feel overwhelmed because you're juggling things that you need to do maybe when you get home. Maybe you're at work and you're like, you know what? I keep forgetting to do laundry. Can't type. There we go. So, or maybe you need to call so-and-so, right? Or there's just these things that kind of pile up in your mind, but they're not necessarily things that you want to go through the process of adding them to a project. So what you can do is you can add them to essentially what is known as your inbox. And your inbox is similar to email, except for in this case, it's up here at the top. It's above all your other radar items so that you actually get these things done and off your plate so that when you get home, you check off, that you need to do your laundry. But the real idea here is that the inbox is here to get things out of your mind so that once you have time later, you're left with two options. One, you either do them, so if they take like less than 5 minutes, just do it, just get it off your plate. But if it's something that maybe takes a little bit longer or you're not ready to do now, you can always click on this and then say maybe you can move it to a different project. And then there you go. It's out of your way, it's filed where it needs to go. And then the next time that you actually get to that project, you can actually put this in its proper place. Maybe I do need to do that today, or maybe I'm not quite ready to do that. Set it to inactive, and there we go. Quickly organized. I didn't have to worry about any tags. I don't have to worry about setting a date for it to show up and pop back up in my inbox. It's just organized, placed where it needs to go, so I can focus on other things that need my attention. So that's pretty much the basics of Radarist. Of course, it has simple things like a nice, easy to use search so that you can see all of your spaces, projects, and tasks are all going to be listed out through that search. You then, of course, have a nice little archive where you'll be able to see all the things that you've completed, the trash for anything that you've trashed, which will stay around for about 30 days, and you can restore them if you want to. But another feature that I've worked in recently is one that is known as templates. This is pretty simple. If you find yourself doing a specific type of project over and over again, and every single one of those projects has the same series of tasks, well, then you can just simply make a template. But templates are pretty straightforward and they'll just save you a ton of time. You've got this list of tasks here that are just prepared for you to be able to clone this template. And so what you can do is you can just add in as many tasks as you want. Say like, yay, I'm done. This is one that we want to set to inactive because we're only going to activate these, as we finish the one above it. So maybe we want to have both of these set to active. That works totally fine. There we go. And then once we have our template looking the way that we want it to, we can just click clone to project, click that edit button, alter that title for whatever new project we're using as the version of that template. And then there you go. Actually, what we probably want to do is add it to a space. Let's just go ahead and say that this is personal stuff. There we go. And then here we go, YouTube video, hey new video, personal stuff. And then it's got all of those tasks in there. So it just saves you a ton of time if you find yourself going through and creating projects that have the same series of tasks within them. But that's pretty much it. That's a quick overview of Radarist. It's just a simple, streamlined approach to getting more done. This is kind of a hybrid of a lot of different other apps I've developed, as well as kind of note card systems I've developed and used as well. The idea is to make it simple and streamlined. You shouldn't have to be managing your productivity software in addition to everything else you have to do. The productivity software should be just helping you manage everything that you have to do. So that's the idea behind Radarist. So be sure to sign up for your free account to give it a try. Of course, the pro version will unlock all of the features, including unlimited projects, as well as project templates and a bunch of other things as well. So again, I hope you find Radarist useful and I look forward to you getting more done.